Once again, welcome to Deep Projects Town Hall. This is the 79th episode of our Town Hall session, and we normally have our Town Hall on Thursdays like this, and all hands on Wednesdays. It rotates every week. So next week we'll be having our all hands, and upper week we'll be having another episode of this Town Hall, and that Town Hall will be our episode 80. So yeah, this is 79. So I'll move straight to the next slide, which is the agenda slide. And first on our list today will be a presentation, a pre-recorded presentation by a member of the awarded team, Gabriel Axel Montes, on non-human motivation system. And secondly, we'll be having a discussion on decentralized payments and contribution value by the community. This will be an open contribution or an open session where everyone can talk about. It's an open discussion session talking about decentralized payments and contribution value by the community. And then we'll have another spotlight for today. I have no idea who that wonderful spotlight will be, but we'll be spotlighting one of our members today, which we normally do in almost every town hall for like the past 3 months right now. So yeah, I'm looking forward to who that will be. And then we will have announcement as usual. Any other announcements, any announcement that we have missed, any new stuff coming up at Deep Funding. Yeah, that will be the fourth thing on the agenda. So before we move straight to our agenda, we are going to be, let's move over Deep Projects. In case you're watching us for the first time on YouTube or any of our social media, or in case you are watching us for the first time right now live. So let's dive a bit into what Deep Project is. Deep Funding or Deep Projects, which is now renamed, is a community-driven grant program by SingularityNET designed to accelerate the development of decentralized beneficial general intelligence, AGI. By providing milestone-based funding, we empower innovators, researchers, and developers to bring their AI projects to life while retaining full ownership of their intellectual property. So that's basically what Deep Funding is all about. The centralized beneficial AGI funding program. So our mission statement is to turn your groundbreaking ideas into reality. Over here, you join a global community pushing the boundaries of AI innovation through funding, collaboration, and open source impact. So yeah, the Deep Funding Project or the Deep Project needs you. Like I said earlier, it's a community-run program where you can propose your AI ideas, where you can vote, where you can review proposals, where you can discuss, like one we'll be having right now, or we'll be having in today's session. And then there are circles, of course, where you can be part of the growth, the Deep Project's growth. And over the years, we have funded 7.19 million in total funding, 1,557 contributors, and we have also awarded 143 projects. So yeah, this town hall is for you. I mean, everything I've been saying from beginning actually points to the fact that it's for you. It's only you that can propose, it's only you that can vote, it's only you that can discuss, and then all of it. So all you just need to do is submit your proposal, you can get community feedback on your proposal, you can secure funding, you can launch your project on the SingularityNET marketplace, or you can bring your AI service to life, and then you can as well monetize your AI service. So you can connect with us through our community website. You can also scan the QR code. By scanning the QR code, you can join circles, you can book presentation slots, you can have access to our calendar with all Deep Funding events. You can keep track of circle projects, progress, and work. So yeah, we want to hear from you. We have, like I said earlier, we have a presentation by an awarded team member. So yeah, presentations like this are open. Any of you can join in to present. And this is also an opportunity. Maybe if you scan our QR code, you will see a way or a process that you can use and book presentation slots. So yeah, we want to hear from you. We want you to book presentation slots. We want you to come here and talk about new initiatives. If you have awarded projects, want you to come and talk about it. And you can as well host a breakout room or of some sorts on any specific topic related to AGI or AI, as you want it. So yeah, that will be all for my slide, and I will stop sharing here and we can move over to the agenda today. And first on the list would be a pre-recorded presentation by an awarded team member, Gabriel Axel Montes, on non-human motivation system. So I'll stop sharing now and then hand over the sharing rights to Priscilla. She'll be the one sharing that recorded video. Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah,
Thank you.
on developing a framework for AGI motivation systems. So in the next 7 to 10 minutes, I'll share what problem we're tackling, why it's practically hard, and what we've built so far, and what's next after that. So Xenocog is about motivation systems, not just reward functions, but for agents that may end up acting less like a single decentralized decision maker and more like a distributed modular organism. So the project premise is straightforward. If advanced AI starts to look more like another species, we need a rigorous way to explore and parameterize non-human motivational architectures while staying compatible with implementable systems such as OpenSci and Hyperon and so on. So the central question, right? We have a core problem. Most AI motivation work implicitly assumes centralized reward and a single optimization story. That's powerful, but it leaves a foundational question open. So what motivational architectures remain viable if cognition is distributed, morphologically fluid, multi-scale, or fundamentally non-human? Our guiding stance is that human motivational architectures are anchors, not boundaries. We want a parameterized design space where human-like motivation is one region and distributed or alien-like regimes are other regions we can explore systematically. Once you take distributed cognition seriously, real engineering challenges show up immediately. First, there may be no single reward channel to supervise. Second, local modules can develop conflicting agendas. Third, coherence may be emergent rather than explicit, which makes it hard to verify. And there's a particularly tricky failure mode we call alignment laundering. So global behavior may look safe while local modules quietly optimize unsafe subgoals. So the practical target is achieving distributed competence without turning the agent into an ungovernable internal multi-agent system. For as far as we've gotten so far, which is basically the second milestone, we delivered a technical synthesis. It integrates peer-reviewed comparative cognition literature, internal psi and micro-psi, and some Hyperon framing, and ontological classification tools. Crucially, when evidence goes beyond any standard consensus, we're labeling our claims as explicitly hypothesis, design proposal, or a speculative extension because they remain interesting and worth including. So this is serving three tightly coupled threads: octopus distributed cognition as a design pattern, and a broader non-human intelligence property framework, and a parameter extension program where we take classic psi modulators into what we call xenocognitive manifolds. So let me walk through the first thread, octopus-inspired architecture. Octopi serve as an existence proof, high competence with low centralization. They have roughly 500 million neurons, with about 2/3 located in the arms rather than the central brain. Those arms support semi-autonomous local control loops, while the central brain focuses on learning, arbitration, and goal setting. The key design principle that we're extracting is this: global control sets constraints and incentives on the one hand, and not micromotions. And then what we're doing there is we're replacing a single executive with federated executive control. Computationally, this translates into parameters like NA thresh for node autonomy, CW for coherence window, how long modules can diverge before resynchronizing, and MPI, the morphological plasticity index, which matters specifically for soft body or phase transition style control. On the right, you can see how we model this as a global workspace coordinator, issuing commands and receiving bids from 8 ARM modules, each computing local urge vectors for things like safety, exploration, and manipulation. The third thread is where things get most implementation oriented. The key structural change is that classic modulators stop being single numbers and they become fields, vectors, and geometry parameters. Valence becomes a valence field with geometry-dependent smoothness and symmetry measures. Arousal splits into a global energy budget and local gain per module, and also sets an inverse temperature beta for attention selection. Selection threshold becomes a distributed persistence controller. Okay, and resolution level becomes an attentional zoom control in hyperbolic space. It maps to how close attention operates to the boundary. At the bottom, you can see the novel parameters that we introduce. Kappa, attention for attentional curvature, sigma sim for symmetry detection gain, and phi spectral for monitoring as a governance proxy. Phi spectral being part of the work of Schneider and Bailey. So now, our current progress so far does not claim a finished Hyperon implementation by any means. This section is explicitly forward-looking, but it proposes a clean integration pattern. We represent modulators as typed atoms in meta, using the format modulator, name, value, scope, where scope can be global, module, field, or environment. For attention allocation, we propose what we call HECAN, hyperbolic ECAN, with hyperbolic embeddings for atoms, geodesic distance diffusion kernels, and a modulated curvature parameter, kappa attention. The attention motivation coupling works like this. High urgency plus novelty increases the absolute value of kappa and beta, sharpening focus. So safety or secure mode reduces kappa, flattening the hierarchy. This is one experimental direction we're exploring. This is the bridge from theory to how we would actually build and test this in the Hyperon stack. So the impact splits into 3 buckets as far as we see so far. For capability, distributed motivational processing offers a route to robust autonomy, especially for embodied agents where local controllers need to act fast without pushing everything through a single bottleneck. On the safety side of things, this framework forces us to name and instrument failure modes that show up specifically in distributed motivation: fragmentation, runaway coherence, regime shifts, and alignment laundering. We build in governance hooks like phi spectral monitoring and module sovereignty tracking. For the ecosystem, this becomes a reusable design space with testable knobs. So the community can extend parameter sets, build demos, and prototype arbitration mechanisms using whatever stack that they're using, right? It's a framework with further implementation that needs to be done to get it to be fully compatible with sort of the evolving changes of a particular ecosystem. Okay, so what's next is already laid out in the research plan. So the next milestone 3 will refine the octopus and non-human mappings to about 75 completion, make the human to alien parameter links explicit, and prototype novel open-side compatible functions. So milestone 4 finalizes the framework, specification, and implementation pathways, including verification and testing protocols. The community can help in a few sort of concrete-ish ways. So we'll need people eventually to pressure test stability laws for kappa attention and symmetry detection gain. We need help designing arbitration mechanisms that prevent module goal capture. And we need collaborators to define how bispectral proxies and the like could actually be computed online for real-time governance. So if you're working in whatever stack you're in, Hyperon, OpenSci, and want to build demos, we'd love to be in contact and collaborate. So thank you again to the community, the Deep Funding, and this project is really about making non-human motivation a rigorous, testable design space before we're forced to confront it in deployed systems with, opportunities in building advanced capabilities, AI safety, governance, cognitive security, one of the areas that I'm prominently involved in. So happy to take questions, or feel free to reach out. Thank you so much.
We'll be moving over to the next thing on the agenda, which is going to be an open topic discussion on decentralized payments and contribution value by the community. And I'll be handing over to Priscilla because she's going to be the one to anchor that. So Priscilla, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. Hello, everybody, and welcome once again. So to kick things off, I'm sure we all saw the messages that went around for us to have an overview of the discussion for today. And the topic we'll be having this discussion on is how decentralized payments recognize the value of contribution. And I'm sure a lot of people are itchy to give us their point of view on what they think about this particular topic. So we already know that decentralized organizations are built on contribution from people with different skills, levels of availability, and motivation, which is very, very important. So some contribute ideas, others contribute their time, leadership, technical work, coordination, or community support. And as a decentralized organization, as it grows, an important question arises. How do we fairly recognize and reward these contributions in a way that align with these decentralized values, such that there is transparency, equity, and shared ownership? And I'm sure everybody has an idea about this thing. So today's town hall, as you already know, is an opportunity to reflect together on how decentralized payment systems can be designed to acknowledge real values and encourage participation, support long-term commitments. And here we are, guys. So if you have any contribution to this particular topic, you could raise your hand or mute and speak. Anybody would like to take over? Give us what you think about this particular topic. So I'll give my point of view, right? I think the best way is when reward feel fair and is very clear and is connected to real contribution. Okay, so hi Tevo, his hand is up. Please, you could unmute and then let us know what you think.
I mean, you can
and
continue
welcome.
and
Yeah. Oh, okay. Welcome to the town hall. I think this is your first town hall, right?
Not really. I think my first town hall was the first town hall, but I haven't been here for a very while, so yeah.
Wow, then you guys are the pioneers. Welcome once again. So let us know what you think about this particular topic.
Well, yeah, if you don't want to finish. For me, I guess now after a few years and few experiments, I realized like what matters in like recognition and for like treasury recognition is the story of how where your data lives. Is somebody looking after it and what is valued? Like yeah, and basically that ends with that. When people know that these things happen, they often like spend time looking at it, how it's recognized, how others perceive it, how they feel about it. And a few months later, people kind of start to forget about the details and the rules. In the background, as experience with like admin mode, it's like a constant change. Like you think you have automated and have the processes in place, but every month there is something new, and it gets changed. Either the people, the way they want to work changes, the way they want to get recognized changed, or even from our opposite side, technology changes, and you feel like you want to improve the infrastructure, the way you code or the stuff, or the way you even facilitate how to discuss recognition. But yeah, I think it's a interesting and like ongoing activity. And I'm sure at some point we kind of land on some common understanding and tooling that works best for us, even though we shift them and change them quite quickly.
Yes, I agree. And the thing about this is, in as much as people want change along the line, do you think is unrealistic expectation to want to do more and gain more? Or do you think it is just people wanting to amass what they can get at times? It's like after they get into the organization, they want to get what they can get and leave? Or do you think is when people get into the organization, they feel I deserve to be paid at a certain amount or be rewarded in some form of stacks? What do you think about it?
Yeah, I guess it depends on the person, so that's very hard to judge. I would say there is all kinds, like the spectrum is very wide and have experience with all kinds of people. Yeah, largely I would say that at least the organizations that we have been pioneering and building, even if it's less about like coming for money, they see an opportunity and an interesting topic, and that's what gets them going. And we also talk about like transparency, and that sometimes leads to into like how transparent and fair we are with what we do and the attention that we try to seek. And then they have learned this scale of distribution that we try to reiterate and get right.
Yeah, I agree with you. So, when designing payments for contributors, like what are the factors should matter the most? What are the things like should be looked at in order to design particular frame to pay contributors? It might not necessarily be money, but any form of appreciation or incentive. Anyone has an idea about that? Or Tebo, you like to take that also?
Sure. Well, I like this like fractal democracy or basically concepts where you qualitatively express who should be rewarded, what they do, and instead of like looking at the contribution itself, like it should be. Yeah, I know it's not often that we do it, but there is like several decides. Like when we look at the capital in general, then we have more than just financial capital, but all the other ways of recognizing and incentivizing people, they are less used and less understood and less shared. I think bringing them up is like crucial. But it's oftentimes like the people change and you kind of lose you spend less time describing the background knowledge. But then we help that with facilitating, like recognizing, oh, it's great. Again, another deep town hall. It means, and I even see that here hosting happens primarily by new people, but I see also the whole faces here that kept this like space ongoing. So recognizing the source and handovers and the way that just appreciating the length of times like something kept alive and maintained, although it's very hard to like put the price on that.
Yeah. I also think one factor shouldn't it shouldn't stand alone, like as you mentioned, like impact is important, but so is effort and consistency, as you've mentioned already. Someone may not always like produce big results or have like something big milestone achieving that, but they can show up regularly, support a team, or even give an idea, but in a subtle way. The person won't be doing much, and there should be a good system of balance where the effort of that person is recognized and rewarded. Yeah. So, how can a transparent and fair payment system help retain talent in a decentralized organization? Oh, okay. Cardoso.
All right. Yeah, I was just raising the hand because I wanted to, yeah, to see if we can do this in a way that more people participate, and also like that we actually start a discussion. Like I think, guys, like for example, we are in some ways in a decentralized organization. Of course, not fully decentralized, but we all are affected by the payments and all of this. And you know, I don't know how long have you been here, but I think deep funding has a big challenge, and I think other organizations as well. That is this balance between, we need to reward people and all of that, but the rewards, the reward system is hard to create a system that is fair, and a system that is also enticing. Imagine, guys, you get some really great people, or you get people that become great while working at deep funding. And then, you know, right now we are following a model where everyone is paid the same per hour. And the question is, how do you retain the talent? For example, Nana, I would like to ask this for you guys. Like, how do you retain the interest of people and their desire to keep contributing? I think that would be a very important question. I'd like to hear from people here. Don't be shy. Just there's no right answers or wrong. If there was right answer, we wouldn't be talking about it. So maybe I'll invite, for example, Aomi. Aomi, do you have any opinions on how to, contribute and reward people in a way that people feel valued and feel like they can grow in an organization? Do you have any opinions on that?
Hi, Rafael. Hi, everyone.
I thank you. Sorry for putting you on spot, but it's for a good reason.
Right. Um, to be honest, I can't really think right now because um man. Okay. Honestly, I don't really know what to say right now, but
Okay. It's okay. So, are you involved in a deep funding or any decentralized organization, Naomi?
yes, I am.
Okay. And how you feel of contribution for you? Do you feel it works well, or have you faced any kind of struggles with that?
Um, well, you know, if you want to contribute to something, or
Yeah.
maybe okay, for example, um yes, I'm familiar with some decentralized communities, and most times, if I want to contribute to something, it has to be something that I can do, right?
Yeah.
And they be like, "Oh, can you work on this?" And most times they know me as a non-technical person. So when a non-technical um gig comes up, or non-technical work comes up, like, "Oh, Ayomi, what do you think about this? Can you work on it? Can you do this?" I say, "Oh yes, I can do that. I can do this." Yeah, so yeah, that's it.
Okay. So flexibility to adapt to what you can deliver is important for you. What
Yeah.
about the rewards? Is that important for you in any way, or do you just like to be involved in things you believe and that's what you want?
Um, Most of the times, I personally, I like to get myself involved in things, even though I don't know about it. Yeah, I like to like try that and see whether I can like, do it. And yeah, for my own personal opinion, yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Peter, I
Yeah.
saw your hand up. Sorry, it was just giving some time to Aomi, but please, Peter, I would love to hear from you.
All good, all good. So first, a little disclaimer. I am involved in decentralized ecosystems. However, I'm also on the payroll for SingularityNET. So whenever I work for Deep Funding or the Ambassador program, I'm not getting rewarded through the reward system that the organization is using. So a little disclaimer there that this is not coming from personal experience in that sense. But yes, for retention of talent, I think let's skip on the easy portion where simply providing more money over time, that's not really valid, I feel. It can be used. But yeah, going beyond that. So first thing of all would be included in these rewards you're getting. It ideally would build to some reputation. So that over time, if you have done, I don't know, a certain task 100 times, it's safe to assume that at least you have some skills in this task. Maybe not 100% of the cases, but yeah, let's assume so. So I would say all the contributions that are getting captured should also feed into some visible reputation system, which ideally would come with some tangible benefits, right? It's a bit of an open question in a way what that might look like. Could be, I guess, governance power. You could, I don't know, perhaps some specific activities could have a threshold for, well, we only want the more experienced people of our community involved in this. And then, yeah, more on the soft benefits, I guess. There's a lot you can do on support, training, providing people access to experts within our ecosystem. We have a ton of experts. We just saw Gabe speaking. He is a big expert. So yeah, network access to people comes to mind there as well. I'm sure there's more, but I think you would be looking at these more non-monetary forms of compensation mostly.
And do you think, for example, we have been able to do it well within the SingularityNET ecosystem to provide this kind of access and benefits? And even, I don't know, like let's say in many cases, it feels, it sometimes might feel like, someone who comes new comes at not a very equal level, but at a very similar level that someone who's been for a long time, no?
Yeah, that definitely can happen. I wouldn't say we've fixed the problem. We don't really have the solution mapped out there. I do remember, yeah, but some years ago, we had a small group of Telegram admins. That at that point, that was kind of like these people were getting benefits of, CEOs like Kabir joining in. Ben every now and then would join the bi-weekly catch-up call. These type of things. Yeah, I don't know. Especially the first couple of times being in a meeting with Ben was like, you're just a bit starstruck, how to say this. Like, it's just super cool. After a while, it turns out he's a human, and but no, I wouldn't say we fixed it. No, there's a lot to be done there.
All right. I think one thing, for example, that the ambassadors do really well is also like you provide other opportunities, right, to ambassadors, sometimes of being live in the event, of having access to some of those exclusive moments. I think that's also potentially something very valuable, to get that opportunity after you've done some contributions and some kind of impact in your organization, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's a bit tricky. One thing that comes to mind, for example, is the BGI conference in Panama, where I think we had about 50% of financial support on sending people there, coming from foundation side. But then, yeah, in reality, it still is a very big portion of our budget to send people flying to places. So that's not sustainable, unfortunately. It's really the best, like meeting people you've only seen online, finally getting to meet face to face. That's perfect. That's really the best. It's just crazy expensive. Yeah. But yeah, there have been moments like that of recognition, absolutely.
All right, awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Peter, for the contribution. And guys, please, if you have anything to say about this topic, raise your hand. Also, Miriam, I don't know if you've put some comments. Would you like to elaborate a little bit on your comments and say something?
I want to ask, and if I say no,
Oh, if you say no, we cannot force you. It's I guess
Alright.
it's the job of a decentralized organization. It's one of the things of the decentralized organization. We cannot force you to do anything, right?
So I was Can you hear me?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, right. So based on that question, I was just thinking about the entire concept of how transparency actually really does help retain talent, right? And I think that uh, transparency, fair, transparent systems in environments such as this, it basically helps reduce major risks, right? So, there's the governance conflict that we are avoiding this way, um, suspicion of stuff like insider privilege. Because it's more transparent, it's more open. You know that everybody, for instance, here at Deep Funding, everybody's getting paid $10 per hour in FET or USDC based on your preference, right? And I was just thinking about how that's open compensation framework. I'm not sure if it's the same thing every decentralized ecosystem adopts, but open compensation frameworks from research, right? It creates some sort of psychological safety. And I think that when people feel safe in that sense, people stay and people collaborate more because they feel like there's more openness and there's more trust in the system. It's less about contracts, it's more about trust in the system. And this way, everybody that's contributing in the ecosystem gets to see how rewards are calculated, why decisions are made. In an ideal decentralized ecosystem, we are meant to see how rewards are calculated, how decisions are made, um, how we can grow, how you can scale, stuff like that. So I think that the key really is establishing trust. People come to decentralized ecosystems because they believe in the mission of that ecosystem. They believe in what are the goals, the objectives. It's transactional, yes, because everybody wants to be in a place they can benefit from, but they can also give to. There's just something it does to the human mind when you feel like you can give and receive in a way that keeps you nourished, I guess. So I would say that trust is dicey. Saying that trust is the reason why many talents or many people are retained in the centralized ecosystem, but it's a dicey thing. It's tricky because it takes a long time to build, but it is easily lost. And saying that our mission, our vision, our objectives, our narratives, our stories are enough to reel people in does not negate the work that we actually have to do towards keeping them in. And that would also then, you know, give insights on the fact that reward actually has to happen. There has to be compensation for the value people give. People have to feel like they are not wasting their time. And even if it's not money that tallies based on market value, uh, people honestly do feel better when they are compensated. But with decentralization, it's not just about money and rewards, it's about trust in the system. And that's basically the point. And that's how fair and transparent systems help.
how open compensation frameworks help. But it is, I think that many times we forget that decentralization is just a structure that is made up of people as well. And sometimes we forget the human side of it all and how there are people involved. And so yeah, those are my 2 cents anyways.
Yeah, that's good. That's a really good point. I think, yeah, the transparency, all of that, and the safety feeling that was, yeah, pretty strong. I would say, I would just ask you maybe one question, or thinking in a world where decentralized organizations could compete with centralized organizations, do you think like a framework like the one we have on Deep Funding, for example, with this fixed amount of payment of $10 per hour, do you think it could compete? And of course, all the rest, the values, the principle, the safety, the trust. Do you think it could compete like with a centralized company that would like come at us, look at the people, see the ones they think they contribute the most, and like make them a proposal to work for them? Or do you think we would have any chance in retaining these people? Or do you think they would likely just leave? And if they leave, is that a problem?
Okay, so I think interestingly, our Twitter space on Monday is about talent in motion, and we'll be exploring why people come to decentralized ecosystems in the first place, and why people like decentralized AI ecosystems specifically, and why people stay, the economic realities. So I think that's not particularly a yes or no question because so much changes as we go. I mean, in just 1 year, the entire landscape could change so much that but I think what would always help decentralized ecosystems at least be attractive, perhaps for lack of a better word, is if there is always uh the 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 act of review and improve, right? It's not that you say, oh, for instance, I don't think in the next decade or the next 3 years we might be on a $10 per hour kind of thing. Especially because there is so much to consider, the economic realities of the people that are there, um, what big tech is offering, the stability of it. There's just so much that comes into play. So I don't think that money is the only reason why people will take lesser pay. So there has to be something that makes people want to stay beyond the money, some sort of internal motivation or like I said, trust in the system, right? There has to be something that is keeping them there. And I don't think that I don't think that for many people, this is their full-time careers in the sense of profits making. So I think we would always have talent. I think we would always have people. I think we would always thrive. I don't know if we'll be on a head-to-toe um combat field with centralized systems that give huge amounts of money for uh a whole lot of for less work, more pay. There's so much that happens in big tech and in centralized systems, right? So I don't think it's a yes or no thing really if we can compete or if we cannot compete. But we would only remain in the picture or at least would only stay in the room if we always review and improve and are honest with ourselves about the economic realities because you could really love a brand or really love an organization or really um be sold out to their mission, but then you're human, right? And you're in a probably a democratic government, and there's economy to consider, self to consider, your personal goals, and money is a tool to reach those goals. So sometimes we don't leave because it's better. Sometimes we leave because it's safer. So yeah, that would be my answer.
All right. Thank you, Miriam. Yeah, I think that's a good point. I mean, for me, I would love to see a world where decentralized organizations could compete with centralized ones. And I think, I don't know yet how to reach that, but I think probably if we can organize people in the right way and produce value, and then find a way to distribute value in an effective way across the organization, I don't see a reason why you couldn't compete with a centralized organization, right? They need to get the value and produce the value for somewhere, and if they can pay these high salaries, supposedly is because they make money to do so. So I guess the challenge for me would be how can we organize a decentralized organization to be as effective, uh, or even more than a centralized one? And I think maybe that's the challenge we haven't reached right yet. Um, and then I'll put out a question for everyone on that is like, do you think decentralized organizations should be completely vertical, or should they be like open but merit based, and you grow as you progress? Kind of like, imagine martial arts, right? Everyone can come and start learning martial arts, but you start from white belt, and then as you prove yourself and you prove you've acquired some skills and you've done some contributions, you can grow within the martial art and get another belt, which is kind of like Peter said, it's kind of reputation. It can also be in line with payment distribution if we wanted to, or the distribution of any other incentives. I'd love to know, guys, what do you think about that? Or do you think it's better to have a model that's just open and everyone is equal at the same place? Um, yeah, who wants to talk a little bit about this?
I guess I should come in. I honestly do not like to get involved in conversations like this because then I feel like I feel like I would just like to hear what everyone else has to say. But as someone that has been in deep funding for a long time now, I feel like I should throw in a bit, 2 cents, just a bit of what I've seen over the years. Like it's been like 2 years now. So when we started defunding newly, and up until now, there are some faces that I no longer see. And sometimes when I try to dig a bit deeper, I feel like sometimes I get to realize that, oh, so this set of people felt like they've grown to a certain extent, and probably they don't want a $10 per hour compensation. They want more. Some people feel like their regions does not. There are different regions in deep funding, and different regions should have different pay cuts, different reward system based on the region you are staying, and all sorts of stuffs like that. There are a lot of reasons, by the way. So if you ask me, I would say that every organization had a set of rules. Like every organization has standard procedures, if I should put it that way. And in different case, um, there was this standard procedure of, I mean, before there was this normal member gets, which is 20 and 10. I don't know if you can still hear me.
Yeah, it
Can you
was
guys see?
you're having some internet issues, but we can still hear you. It's just a little bit slower and then faster, but it's not breaking.
Okay, okay. So there was a period where in the funding they had these coordinators receiving twice of what other members are receiving, which is like coordinators get 20 and some people, instead of people get 10. And then we changed the standard procedure to everybody gets flats and there are no hierarchy. Even if then there are still coordinators that make sure members of circles do some certain things that just make sure that they answer certain questions when it comes to circle. But going back to your question, when you said talent, loss of talent when there is this, especially some people when they come to deep funding and be like, there is a $10 per hour reward system. Does it cut it? Should I still be here? I feel like when you come to an organization that has standard procedures, you can you either stay with those standard procedures or you leave. If you feel like these procedures are smaller than you, based off your skill or your level of expertise, I feel like you can move on to something bigger or something better, if the case may be. Um, Again, over the years, I've seen people come, good skillers, good technicians. They've come, they've gone, and most of them, I still have their contacts. I still chat with them up until now, and most of them are doing big actually, and most of them started from deep funding. They at least they grew their audience from deep funding, and sometimes it's good to see, it's good to know that you can actually start from an organization like deep funding and progress. But in a case where you can't progress, especially when it comes to rewards in a project like deep funding because of the standard procedures of reward that we have, um, then you should likely move to something else. But if you feel like your motivation working with deep funding is more than rewards, and you feel like there are still more growth to explore for your personal self, then I feel like this kind of decentralized organization is somewhere you should be. I mean, yeah. So that's like my 2 cents. I don't know if I was able
Mm.
to say everything that is
No,
in
it
my
was
mind.
great. It was a personal experience and it was very insightful because you're sharing what's happening. That's more insightful. That's very insightful and more, let's say, more accurate than what we wish happens or what we think. I would say, but it sounds concerning, right? If you even if you get the people, they are good, and then they feel they have outgrown deep funding, either in terms of money or, as you mentioned, growth. You said growth once, which I think is really important, right? If you feel challenged, if you feel you can grow, if you feel you're doing something impactful that you like, that can be a reason to stay there, besides money. But that's it can be worrying if you after some point when the person is reaching a certain level, their desire is to walk away. That can be concerning. Of course, people always walk away and go to new projects. The question is, like you were mentioning, the reasons behind it. Is it related to deep funding, or is it related to the person, or is it related to them not feeling like they can grow or anymore within deep funding? And if it's the last one, that's concerning, right? Because we should have a process to keep the best people and retain the best talent. I think like any organization wants to keep the best people because the people will deliver the outcomes, and not the other way around, right? It's not a system where you get a lot of new people, but the best people after a while leave, and then you need to train the people again, and then they leave. And you keep going this when you're putting in a lot of the effort into training, preparing people, going through them while they learn. And then when they are at the right stage to reap the rewards, they go somewhere else, right? That sounds a bit concerning.
I think there have been one case in deep funding here where a member is retained. And I feel like he was actually the contracts that they had with the funding had with this particular member changed along the line, because then the funding noticed that you actually need this person and his technical skills and the rest of it, and maybe the standard procedures of the rewards we have right now is no longer suitable for such person. And then there was a change in contracts, and the person is retained on a different contract. So I feel like defunding has that route, although not very standard yet. It's not very clear yet. That particular procedure isn't very as clear as possible yet. But yeah, I think there is that route, especially in deep funding. But maybe it's something we don't explore as much. Yeah. So I think maybe something we should start discussing around, how do you keep these people that shouldn't be let go? Yeah, so maybe, but there have been a single case of such information or such case
Yeah, it's just
that
a
I know.
shame that it needed to be done as a separate contract and not find a way to keep it inside the decentralized organization, right? But yeah, Tivo, please, thank you so much for coming and for sharing your opinions. I know you have a lot of experience with this decentralized organizations and payments and everything, so please, I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, not regarding experience from payment side, but just yeah, listening to Major DeFi and thinking back in my own like last few years. I think I've always constantly been looking like outward, even though yeah, I do get some rewards here, and when I started, I even felt like I was paying to be part of this because I had so many offers, but I was like, God damn, like I was coming from Cardano space and I always felt like I spent so much time, but none of the like things that I felt were the right choice was not adopted or sometimes not even recognized as an option. And or some of the leaders or institutions that were in place like shifted a narrative and kind of front run it and did something publicly that I was like, no, I don't want to spend more time coming up with governance rules and designing system and help people to collaborate if that is not desired outcome. But I always found that in this SingularityNET space, the Deep Funding and Ambassador program, I always had that opportunity. And now when even if I'm looking for outside, I'm always looking like, okay, even if I get to do another project or a role or I need to go away, I have it in my weekend calendar or like I try to stay something completely like, why can't we just have just few hours allocated into just continuing discussions or something like what's interested and what I kept in mind, because what in the end we are solving what we want to solve, like we have that passion in us, and the new endeavors usually, at least for my case, it's a very heavily connected. Like I facilitate, I design process, I just do it in different teams, which are not maybe SingularityNET native, but I always carry the new lessons, new tooling back and forth. And I think I'm growing exponentially by doing this, even though the rewards are totally different. And of course, I get like offers that are like, okay, I may again, yes, I had an idea to create a product for this kind of thing in SingularityNET, but consider if I spend time 6 months in another project, I deliver what's there, I can bring that back here, which is more impactful than the product that I could have done. So it's always like this game of how do you modularize your future impact. But yeah, not everybody is in the same place, but yeah, that's like from my perspective. And you asked about like meritocracy, and yeah, this again, it's a great thing, but it's dangerous in a sense that it cannot be a solo thing. Every single dime has ended up in aristocratic environment in my case, and maybe you even noticed yourself that at some point, few months in the work groups, only few people are talking and everybody's fine with it. But it's just a culture that changed into like recognizing who are great talkers, but you miss the opportunity of somebody who is already has learned, spent this for 6 months listening, that could talk the same language too, but hasn't had the practice of talking it out. And maybe, yeah, that does it in chat or just kind of understands what we do. And then we feel like, okay, we need to change topics. Nobody else is talking, and we just, so yeah, meritocratic can't be the only way to engage. But yeah, all of the skill of knowing that and recognizing the room, and this is, it is important and valuable to know the difference between quality and how to mentor and bring up new people.
Yeah, those are great points. Those are great points. Especially, I think one thing that resonated with me was the part of you say that, you have a lot of projects, a lot of choices, and then what you feel, is more impactful, even though it might not be what pays the best, is what you try to choose. I think that makes a lot of sense. Also, this thing about the contributions and meritocracy. Yeah, I think it's a hard question for sure. Like what you're saying, and you see these a lot in many decentralized organizations. I don't know if you have that experience. You see people that are very good at promoting what they do or what they say they will do, but don't really do much. And then you have other people who are probably really bad at promoting what they do or what they're going to do. And then, they are really good at doing things. And there is a mismatch. But then I guess the challenge is to find the ways or the best ways possible to try to measure impact beyond conversation, right? Or beyond what you say you do, but actually what are the outcomes of your work? Do you think like if you tried to measure the outcomes of people's work, that could be a way to have a better approximation of merit? Or how should we measure the contributions of individuals in a decentralized organization?
I think we need to start with dashboards. I don't know. This is for example, an experience that I'm trying to find the result by summer, basically. In Cardano, I'm part of Beyond MVG that is creating on-chain parameters, which is like a very small scope, but it's still something that puts people thinking on, okay, if you would have to choose who to trust to make governance decisions, what would you look at? And how do you understand if governance isn't going well based on the people vote, abstain or not vote, because we have all this data. And I think visual graphics and seeing real data and looking at them and talking about them, giving like stories and weighting stories of how relevant or irrelevant they are to these parameters or these metrics we're looking at. I think it has something important for us to learn and to grow, but I haven't experienced that kind of cycle yet in that way. So I can't detail too much on that. For example, although today's topic is payments, so there has been a lot of like payment dashboard we're doing, and I'm looking to deep funding town halls almost every time, and I just recently have been doing more like Google Analytics and internal operations stuff. So you can also you see how it affects like what labels are people doing. So you kind of feel that there is a story behind it, but you can't really grasp it yet how it individually matches. And I have yet to see anybody doing these kinds of easy to access dashboards that give the individual journey that basically just like one click CV to somebody to describe how he became to be in that network. But I'm sure we're getting there somewhere, and yeah. Yeah. That I am also feel like this is learnable and understandable. It's too new in my opinion right now. Because we spent at least a year or two even learning about what kind of data we want to collect and how do we want to label it. So it's not that noisy but yeah, now of course we have AI that is able to crunch through this noisy data, but it still starts to hallucinate if we don't discuss and point and find signals that we think are important, and then what forces affect the signal.
Yeah, makes sense. I think that sounds like exciting work. And I think, if a decentralized organization knows what is their purpose, maybe they can find together some of the metrics or things they want to measure for their, how close they are to achieving this purpose and how impactful they are in what they want to do. And then maybe you can use that as a way to try to measure the contributions of each individual, or even if you're putting individuals into circles or something, maybe you cannot measure the individual, but maybe you can measure the group of people and the work they do together. And that would already be something, right? And I think we talk about measuring and all this because I think that it's probably important for contribution, right? If you want a sustainable organization, you need to deliver value and then measure it and distribute it, right? And you need to have some criteria for distributing. When you don't have a criteria, it's easy to say the same for everyone. If you have a criteria, then maybe you create an even fairer situation, or a situation where, you know, if you do more, you feel like you receive more. If you do less, you feel like you receive less, right? Which is fair. Priscilla, sorry for hijacking the call.
It's
I'll
fine.
give you, I think you had here a good question. I mean, I don't know if the question is good. I think you can give me more context. The question about, what was it? What was about the contribution reward approaches? I'm not 100% sure what's the question gonna be like, but it was a curious question. So if you want to make it and explain, that would be amazing. And I'll just stop talking and hopefully open the mic for other people.
Yeah. So the question is, which contribution reward approach best reflects decentralized values in your opinion? So we've spoken a lot about this, and it's like recognizing what a lot of people do, how they are seen, like the trust they build. That is one thing I kind of like about this system or organization. In a centralized organization, yeah, like trust is also built at a point, but for decentralized, it kind of progresses as it goes. Like now I would say, so in the circles, we have events, we have marketing, we all kind of work hand in hand, but it has sort of become like a family, that if one person is not able to pull up maybe a task or work on something, the person can rely on the other person to get that done. And mostly in centralized organizations, you don't see that. So it's like learning opportunities, ownership to work, like decision-making power now it lies with the individuals in the ecosystem, right? So what do you guys think? Like, how can we best reflect these values? Like these values is already in our ecosystem. How do we see it happening? Like in our everyday time, our everyday work in deep funding. Let me see an example. I'd like to mention names, but Usman, Alawode, what do you think about this? I've been seeing in Deep Labs for quite some time now, and I'm sure you have one or two to say in this. Hi, Usman. Okay, then I'll go to our very own Ayo. Ayo, what do you think? Let me read the question again so that you guys can get the understanding. So which contribution reward approach best reflects decentralization values in your opinion? Are you there?
Yes, I am. I wasn't planning to be put on spot. I just wanted to listen in and enjoy the conversation, and also, learn as it is going. Well, I think that's a very tough question. And I really think that every community must get to that decision of what works best for them by themselves. And I think it's a journey. And I think the problem with such journeys is that it's very intolerant to non-transparent factors, which basically means that if you want to talk about this, what's that thing that they say in law, this legal term about he who must come to equity, to table of equity must come with clean hands, right? That kind of a thing. So it basically means that it has to be an honest conversation, and it has to be a transparent one. And we can assume or imagine that all the factors that are involved do not count. Every single factor counts. So I really cannot tell, because it's going to be community specific, context specific. In fact, sometimes even goal specific, right? So in the charts I was reading, conversation going on about, I think it was Peter asking, being curious about if circle members put in proposals, right? And I also remember that there was a time where I think it was Tommy, and I think I'm trying to remember this other person's name used to be a contributor in the ambassadors program, and also Deep Funding at some point. And they were discussing, and then that person was saying, "Look, I'm quite young," and say, "Tommy, you are older than a lot of us, and you have had the opportunity to work, in places where your hours were rewarded with competitive payment, right? And that it wasn't fair to say that young people who have to. I mean, the idea of being young is that you get to work, right? So to say, oh, you don't. I mean, it's not fair to expect young people to have to do all the work here. And I remember that conversation where Tommy said, "Yeah, but that's the thing. You can also, if you are this good and you have these skills and you have this you have all these things going for you, then you should put in for a proposal, right, for a project, and then you can and things like that, right? So if you put all of this together, it basically means that even if for any particular reason you feel that what could be done is a particular amount in dollar per hour, you could also make sure that, for example, there are maybe other ways that these things actually do, and then people can plan, and people can see, and then people can understand, and then they can say, okay, yeah, I'm doing this work. I'm doing this work for interest, but I'm also able to build other things for future, right? So sorry to be speaking for this long. Point is, it's not. I don't think it's an answer one person can give. Even if you mean it well, right? Even if you mean it well, it's not an answer one person can give. It's something that the whole community has to work towards. And it starts by being, honest with the realities. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I totally agree with you because I also believe that it's not a rigid thing because impact-based reward recognizes meaningful results. Like you don't expect that someone will do so much and they won't be recognized for it, either in payment as in money or in other form recognition, like how Peter was mentioning. And we all know that decentralization is about flexibility. So it's good to adapt and see how we could go. And this is also a good conversation starting through as we are growing in this community, we will learn how to move in that direction of rules of a decentralized environment, learn more and be able to also express ourselves. And I really appreciate everybody who gave their opinion, their 2 cents on this particular issue. I know it's a touchy subject, but everybody was willing to express themselves, and it's a good thing. And that is what the town hall is here for. So thank you, everybody. And we are grateful for everybody who came on the town hall and spoke about this particular issue. Many more discussions will be coming it's all in preparations. So coming town halls, we will be bringing up discussions, topics for us to discuss about. And yeah, that's how we build a decentralized ecosystem. Thank you guys. Mayor, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Priska. Thank you very much, Raphael, you basically collected that session from Priscilla's end. But yeah, thank you very much for that. And thank you very much for everyone who contributed. Peter, Tivo, nice seeing you around, Tivo. And yeah, anyone who gave their 2 cents to that particular discussion, that particular topic. And we'll be moving over to the next topic, which will be a community spotlight. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing who we are going to be spotlighting. I've been looking at the participants. I'm like, I cannot take any guess, but yeah.
I can already guess. I can already guess. She's laughing. I can already guess.
I would hand over.
So
I'll hand
lovely.
over the spotlight to Miriam. Yeah, Miriam, please. Let's see who
Okay,
we have.
hello. Hi, thank you so much, everybody, for being here today. Our special guest, who has so graciously graced us with her presence, is a name you are familiar with by now if you're in Deep Funding and you're in the All Circles channel. She handles our internal comms and was recently brought on to the Deep Funding platform. A warm round of virtual applause to Beatrice. Wow.
Thank you, Maria. Well,
All right, hello, Beatrice. Thank you so much for being here today. We just have a few questions to ask because we just want to get to know you better, know your likes and your dislikes, your favorite color, you know, your favorite food, perfect vacation place, stuff like that. So we know, how to send you the perfect Christmas gift when it's time and know, what to bring you when we are visiting in your country and hosting a Deep Funding live event there. That's basically what this segment is about. So again, thank you for being here. And we're just going to get right into it. My first question, what first drew you to work in communications and what do you enjoy the most about it?
thank you for the invite and thank you for being here. Thank you, everyone. If nobody knows me, my name is Beatrice. Actually,
sorry, Beatrice. There is a noise. There is this bad noise that
Yeah.
is.
You are not hearing me?
No, we can, but there's a bit of an interference from your earphone.
Yeah, I think it's coming from the earphone.
Now it's better?
Yes, perfect.
Yeah. Oh, yes, it's my phone. Thank you. So who doesn't know me? My name is Beatriz. I'm deep in founding for almost 1 year. And the first question, I like to talk a lot. I know I don't speak a lot in the events, but I like to talk and I'm curious. I like to know what's happening in the places and in the circles and everything. So I'm journalist, so that's why I like to communicate. Even talking or writing or I don't know, participating for the events, but sometimes I'm quiet, but I like to know what's happening, because I'm curious. So that's why I chose this profession.
Oh, that's very interesting. And what do you enjoy the most about it? The talking or the relief you get when you go down a rabbit hole about a topic that's interesting you?
Yes.
Oh, so both. All right then. Thank you so much. All right, next question. Internal communication. Internal communication, it happens behind the scenes, right? It's not something that is pretty, it's not something that everybody understands. How would you describe your role in helping the deep funding ecosystem function smoothly?
I think this is the most important thing. We know, like it's behind the scenes, but our job is to show the community what's going on. Not only for the internal communications, but all the circles. So, for example, we know we have the all circles, but sometimes we don't know what the people are working on it. So, events, what are you doing now? I know we have the town halls, we have the all hands, but it's more. So, the our mainly hold is to spread the news for everybody and for multiple channels. Some we have the newsletter internal newsletter now. It's kind of new, but sometimes we have a lot of messages and announcements in the channel, so we cannot depend on Mattermost. So we have to spread what's going on behind the scenes in another channels. So if you didn't see the announcement on the channel, you can have a recap for newsletter, or now this event is recorded so people can see a watch. So it's the main goal is to spread the news for people, for the community.
All right, all right. Thank you so much for sharing that. All right, moving on to the next question. What's one?
Even I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Even if it's a invite for everybody, so if you want to show the community something special, you can send us a message for me, Andrea, about, oh, we have this project, we have this, we would like to share with this with the community.
All
So it's an
right.
invite.
Yes, and I think that you're a lifesaver in many times because I know I've had to DM you at very odd hours and somehow the work gets done all the same. Yes. All right. It looks like Tivo has a question. Tivo, please go ahead.
I just realized I actually have something to share.
All right.
And especially like I think you have a marketing circle or something like that.
Yes,
And
we do.
in ambassador program, I recently, even though I'm not home, but I've been like vibe coding also platforms and built the coordination manager. And there is a right now happening like a event planning. And through that new application, I'm just gonna share the link in chat. I don't know, maybe if you want to share it in internals. And basically, this is about like when we use when to meet, or at least I, as a facilitator, use it quite often to coordinate like larger groups, what time people want to meet, what days they want, and then having the event. But if you do it regularly and in different networks, and then you have so many channels to distribute, it's just like a hour, 2 hour task just to copy paste the information around, back and forth messaging. So I'm trying to turn that into now this application and I automate that. And yeah, maybe if that is something interesting for you, or you also look like we want to experience or see what's out there, maybe this is something to put your time into, assign a date or time, and I will try to organize a meeting between all us to demo the product and yeah, see if we want to kind of elevate it. It's essentially it's open source. You can take it away and you have capable of people in the team himself. But since we're all in the same kind of SingularityNet family, maybe we can just agree that some standards and we update it together and just use some common tooling.
All right. Thank you so much, Tivo. You see,
Thank you.
collaboration. So,
Yes, thank you.
Party A reach out to Party B and let's do this. Thank you so much, Tivo. That was really, really lovely. All right. We are moving on. What is one misconception people often have about internal comms that you wish they understood better?
Actually, it's not even nothing particular, but our job is always to keep update the same things. For example, I think you guys for events do it a lot. We know that 2 Thursdays a month, and we know the date. We have town halls, an example, and you have to send invites and send email and announcements in the channel. It's not we know that happens, but we have to remind all the time. So in this community we have to remind about the payments for the day it's Wednesdays, to use the open project, to remind the events. So things that we have to know, and all the time we have to refresh the memory. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's clear.
Yes, sort of like I understand how it can feel sometimes quite repetitive, but it's something that has to be done because just because you as one user always remembers to fill your open project doesn't mean everybody. Sometimes those announcements actually come in handy and time you're like, oh yes, I've not done that for today, or yeah, I filled my open project, but I did not fill the tax payment form. So I think those um weekly or daily reminders and announcements can feel undervalued sometimes, but you never really would know because I don't think anybody would mention, thank you. I needed this reminder all the time, right? So yes, I do
Exactly.
understand. Thank you. All right, then moving on to our last question, because the next question I was going to ask, you already sort of answered, about how if this was a rewarding role. So I'm just going to ask the last question because we're out of time. Outside of your professional role, then outside of all that you do as a journalist, here as internal comms lead for Deep Funding, what brings you joy or helps you recharge?
My family. I have a baby. My baby
Oh,
Priska knows because she already knows the baby for the sound. Sometimes I'm working and the baby is close here, but stay with my family. I think nowadays for everybody it's busy and we don't have to we don't have time, and sometimes we how can we don't, I don't know, sometimes we're working a lot and it's not our priority. So this year in especially I'm trying to do my family first and then the work and then other things, because if don't we just work and we don't have time to relax and to stay with who we love. But this it's my to recharge my family. And the in the beginning you said the color and the places that I like. I love go to the
yeah,
beach. So I live in a city in Brazil. There is a beach, but I love to know new beaches and travel to stay in contact with nature.
oh, that's really beautiful. And
Oh,
um,
thank
s-
you.
I think what you said there is really important for everybody to remember. That we must give ourselves to rest and to play just as much as we give ourselves to work and to wealth building and to strategies and all the big words we use all the time. We really must give ourselves to what truly is valuable, and that we don't look back at our lives and see that we spent our entire 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s building things that, well, they were nice to have, but like, you know, they didn't really
Re-
matter at the end.
Regarding this, talking before about payments and retaining people, I think the most nice thing about work here in the community and decentralized, it's like sometimes we can choose what they work. Sometimes we say, oh, okay, this week I can get a lot of tasks, so I can work a lot. But next week I know I can have a time to rest. I can take a time off. So this is the difference for a private company, that we don't choose your vacation. Here we can have vacation whenever we want. Of course, you have to plan and you have to things done, but it's a liberty to work. So for me now it's the most important thing.
Yes, that really is important actually. And yeah, it's actually one of the benefits of being in decentralized ecosystems like this. There is more control over time, and that's such a beautiful thing to have sometimes. Very, very important. Thank you so much, Beatrice. We've come to the end. You did so great. Thank you for
Thank you
being
for the
here.
invite. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you.
for being such a wonderful addition to the deep funding ecosystem. We really are glad that you are here. Your
Thank you.
reminders are important and valued by some, if not all. And I think that, we really have you to thank for many things. So thank you.
And
And yeah,
congratulations for you guys for the event, that all the time we trying with this energy and comes everybody for the events and engage everybody. I know it's not easy engage people, but you guys are doing a very nice work. Congratulations.
thank you very much. There's a whole lot of crashing out, high blood pressure, spikes, stress eating, and so many crazy things that happen behind the scenes for us to be to do the great work that we do. But yeah, thank you so much. Event Circle appreciates you very much. All right, Mayor, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Miriam. Thank you very much, Beatrice. I've not had the opportunity to talk to Beatrice one-on-one ever since she joined. But maybe in the future we would have, yeah, we would work more closely. Yeah, but yeah, thank you very much for your work at Deep Funding. Yeah, I see your communications, I see your pings. Yeah, I see those communications and such. It's interesting. So yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Miriam. Thank you very much, Raphael. Thank you very much, Priska. Thank you very much, Ayo. Those people I just mentioned now are the event circle members. Yeah, so they are the ones, we are the ones that make these events happen. And yeah, like Miriam said, it's not easy coming up with events like this week in, week out, getting topics and the rest. But yeah, somehow we find a way to make it smooth, even if it's a crazy lot of it's a lot of job to do, but it's quite smooth on our end a bit because then we have found a way to divide the workload amongst ourselves. But yeah. Yeah, so thank you very much, Event Circle, for always doing this week in, week out. And thank you very much to the wider audience. If you're watching this on YouTube, so make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you share. Yeah, and we'll be meeting you again next week and next 2 weeks for the another episode of the Town Hall. Yeah, that will be Town Hall 80. I'm looking forward to 100 actually. So yeah, okay, Priska has her hands up. Yeah, Priska.
Yes, so we have a community hub that want to give us like a brief announcement on one of the events that we'll be having, I think on Saturday. Miriam, would you like to give us update on that?
Oh, yes. Thank you so much. So the African Women in AI Community Hub is having a workshop, and I want to try and pull up the yes. So we're having a workshop on ethical AI practice in 2026, and it's happening this Saturday. And we basically are just going to be covering, and this is such an interesting, important topic for our audience, especially because many people are still trying to understand um, the ethics of it all. How AI and ethics come into play, how careful we must be, how, policy must be revised, stuff like that. So we're going to be covering things around, the compliance gap, why do current AI tools why they might be illegal by next year, what they are doing wrong. I remember listening to Renee Cummins this afternoon, and it was an entire discourse on LinkedIn about children and AI and how we must, protect children from AI and stuff like that. How AI is being trained is using AI models today that are using they're replicating children's movements, faces in ways that are not exactly protective of children. So just want to explore stuff like that. Want to learn how to use governance to win high tickets, corporate clients. Want to s- explore basically governance policy and the rules of new economy and AI models and AI building in 2026. And so it's a workshop. It's going to be happening on Saturday the 21st. I'm going to send over the materials to Marketing Circle, so you just might see another reminder this weekend about the event. And we're going to be issuing a certificate of participation to every member or every attendee of the event. We have an incredible AI policy and ethics advisor from Kenya, I believe, who would be doing the training, and it's going to be for about an hour and a half. And yeah, that's basically it.
And what time? Do you have a link?
Last question. Is it going to be virtual or is it going to be in person?
Yes, it
Virtual.
is virtual. Yes, it's virtual. It's happening on Google Meet. There's a registration link on for Luma. Let me quickly type that in the chat box. So you could just
Yeah.
register and attend. Of course, it's going to be recorded and posted on YouTube, but you're not going to get certification of participation if you watch replay. So try and be there if if you want that. But you get to ask more questions, obviously. We have a really talented person and experts coming in on Saturday to do this workshop with us. Not quite sure workshop is the word, perhaps a training and a discussion and in-depth training on what ethics looks in practice for AI builders, especially for us in Africa. And so, yeah, I'm going to be typing the link now, and you could just register and attend.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Raphael, you wanted saying something, or have we cleared it?
It was just the link, and also warning everyone that you don't need to be a woman to be there. You can be a man with a wig.
Yes, and
Yeah.
Raphael has a whole wardrobe, a whole collection of wigs. He's got, if you are into blonde, he's got that. If you're redhead, he's got that. Purple, green. He just email Raphael the specifics for what
I
you
actually
need.
have a picture of Raphael in that yellow wig as my
It was
screen.
glorious. It
You
really
know,
was glorious.
Mariam, you know, the problem is the link is not working.
It's not okay. That doesn't make sense. It's working here. Hmm.
Yeah, maybe you should copy it from your browser tab directly. Just
Okay. All right, then
pink it
please give me a
and
second. Let me quickly do that.
Is that the private link?
Uh, it's not private per se.
yeah,
It shouldn't
just
be
pink
private
it.
if it's for promotion.
No, it's not. It's not private. Yeah, it's exactly that. I've sent the link again in the chat box.
Now it's working. I don't know what she did.
Wow. I copied directly, so
All right.
technology, guys.
Weird, doesn't work
Yeah,
for me.
the first link is a GB, while the second link is a QB. That's the mistake. Like the end of the
Oh,
yeah.
oh.
So yeah.
Oh
So
yeah.
sorry, guys. I'm elderly now, so sometimes I don't really see things.
If that would be a wallet link, you will probably be like out of funds now.
That's true.
Yes,
If Deep
it's
Funding
true.
made that mistake, you'd have zero payments,
It's
Mariam.
true.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for being here. Yeah, I think we have to call it a day. We have to call it a week, and I'll see you again next week. I'll see you again upper week, and yeah. See you next week. Bye, guys.
Oh, we have X Space on Monday, next Monday.
Yes,
Yeah,
we
the
have X
link
Spaces
is
on
on top.
Monday. We have someone from SingularityNET joining us yet again, Sandra
Whoop,
Grapovic.
whoop, whoop.
So be there, guys. Be there. It's going to be so fun. Bye.
Yeah, bye, guys.